start the recording. But anyway, we were just talking about the Law of Success, chapter 12, and I read this about 30 minutes before we started the session, and I asked for clarity and I asked for the right things to just jump out at me because I didn't have a lot of time. And what jumped out at me was like, oh, wow. So I'm just kind of blown away with this, and it's information we all know and where so many struggle, and that is the relationship between business and income. Right? It's amazing that we are often apologizing for charging services for services of value, or the price of something of value, or just receiving abundant financial monetary flow.
True.
Yet the laws teach us that the two are the same science.
Yep.
And that, well, just to kind of stop there, but that started to jump out at me, and I'll read those passages at some point. But I just want to say welcome, y'all. Wow, it's been an amazing journey, and I love that it's just been intimate with the few of us. I think that's a great thing.
I'm with you on that too. Put it like this. It's better. I didn't give myself the opportunity to read the chapter. Listening to you right now, what you were sharing, your aha moment, meaning the value of what we offer or someone offers us, right? Depending where our mindset and our energy is vibrating at, we see the value or not, right? And when it comes to income, which is the source of this world, materially speaking, well, that's how we measure life, right? If we can or we cannot, or we can dream or we cannot dream. And it was just kind of interesting how I was teaching my mother that it's okay to receive versus only give, knowing that God always provides in one way or the other, because she comes from faith, maybe more 100% or 110 or maybe 200% more than I, which she's been a huge teacher in my life, even more now. And it happened that I got to meet this beautiful lady who practices pranic healing, which is
say that type of healing again.
It's prana. Yeah, it's Pranic. That's how you spell it.
Pranic.
When they say it. Yeah, pranic. Thank you. Healing. So what it means, and it's very interesting, and she's like kind of not pushing me in a bad way, but then, hey, take the classes. You can do it. It's to clear your chakras and all the other chakras from energy that it's stuck. It's cleansing your energy, for example, and then Reiki comes in. That's when it balances your energy, for example. And then through pranic healing, you can actually help someone also ease whatever disease they're going through. And that's when we have anything going on in our bodies, because we have kept it for so long. It's been there blocked for so long. So somehow it's going to manifest in our body through pain or emotional, mainly pain. So fast forward to the point of what you were talking of receiving the value of something. It happened that my mom was helping this lady who is in need, financially speaking, and she helped herself by selling, traditional foods from here, from El Paso. So my mom brings this lady to her because she's not charging to do the healing to people. First they give, and then I'm assuming, I have not asked her why she's not charging yet. Okay, so I'm assuming, and I know we shouldn't assume, but I know that you are to give in order to receive. We know that as the laws and energy works. So she goes, she does the healing, and she knows she's going through a lot. She needs help here. And it happens that she finds a great opportunity, business opportunity for her, so she can open doors financially come to her. So my mom and this lady, her name is Mary. and my mom's friend, her name I forgot. Anyways, they get everything going on. They find someone that will sell the food on her behalf. All she has to do is cook it and bring it to that person, and they will sell it. So goes right away. Can you hear me? I was receiving a call. Sorry, there I am. So anyways, I'm trying to say it like really fast. So anyways, when my mom goes to her and lets her know, because she was not answering the calls or anything, turns out that she does not want the opportunity. Turns out that she gave excuses plus excuses and excuses and excuses, and at the time it wasn't for her. So then the energy lady asked my mom if she wants to do it, if she wants to take the opportunity, take the business, and then sell it to this gentleman. So my mom comes, she's like, yeah, that would be great. And then turns out that my aunt, it's in need, financially speaking. So instead of her helping herself financially, she gives it away again. So I'm trying to understand, right? Not being judgmental. Cindy, 4 years ago, I would have judged my mother, would have said, why? Why will you do this? Why will you do that? You've been asking for, doors to open for you, and here you are closing them. So instead of judging her that way, instead of coming that way, I said, listen, Mom, it's amazing how you are and how big your heart is, and I love it because that's where I get it from. Why for me it's so easy to give and forget. But then one thing that I've learned when opportunities come to you is because you actually even subconsciously look and ask for them, and God is bringing them to you. And if you have more of that financial energy tool, then you're going to be able to help even more people versus you sending away that blessing. So it's okay for you to receive, Mom, and be successful. It doesn't mean that you're taking away from somebody else. It came to you, but you're giving it away. So right now, when you said that sometimes it's hard for us to give or even talk about the value, the price of that valuable whatever it is that we're offering, and we know it's more value to it than what we're offering it for, we still feel guilty in a way because we want to get to their level to understand them and be humble, but then we know better. So that just triggered that memory for me right now earlier with that conversation, because she didn't understand how blessing is to have that. That's a
very, very good case study, if you will, to apply to this. A couple of thoughts crossed my mind. One thing that the laws teach us is that it's you have to do the work. There's discussion about procrastination. There's discussion about study. There's discussion about the law of sacrifice. There's discussion about the law of thinking. And so your mother is operating on a soul solitary law, and the laws work together integratively and complementary. And if we are to practice one law, we are to practice all laws. And so that is the answer to give to her.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good one. Thank you for putting it that way, because I didn't say that to her.
Just remind her that that's a beautiful thing of why she's practicing. But remind her of the other laws.
Yep, that's
be okay. One. And so
the
law of giving is a tricky law, because had we not received the grace of God, then how could he give us all that is in him, right? So she's not receiving, but she's also not doing the other laws, and it's just because she's not aware of them. So you're now her teacher. And just, but not in a way that most parents aren't very receiving of us children, because that's just kind of the DNA inheritance that we all take forward into future generations that we are here to not continue to do. We're called to, all of that genetics is buried in our ancestral DNA, and the Bible speaks to that clearly. And other religious, it doesn't have to be the Bible. It could be any ancient religion. It could be any doctrine. There's always this theme of ancestral karma, baggage, DNA, curse, or blessing that goes back generations, present day, future generations.
True.
So I really feel we're so highly intelligent now, and we're aware of the laws, and we're putting all this together with science and spirit, and we are being called forth to continue this or to lead this movement of awakening into our highest purpose and calling.
That's so true. And now that you said that, parents, Junior, my son, he was a great lesson, especially earlier today. It's funny. When you feel, as you said, how can you be teaching me when I'm the one that has the experience? We're talking physically, material here on earth, but then they might be like, if we're gonna go into the soul spirit, right? They might be older than us. We're just here a vehicle to guide them in this world. But then if we don't know the laws or the spiritual laws, we are the parents and we know better because I was here first than you. So anyways, it happened that I was rewatching Dave MacArthur's live video that he posted on Mechanic to Millionaire regarding the visual boards, right? So Junior sees Dave MacArthur and he's like, oh, he looks like, oh my God, what's that wrestler's name? I don't know why he said, a wrestler. I'm like, are you serious? We don't watch wrestling. What do you mean? Oh, Joe Sapina. He's like, he looks like Joe Sapina. He goes like this, and I'm like, who the heck is that? Mom, Google it. Let me borrow your phone. And he starts, Googling it, and I'm thinking, he's a 10-year-old telling me, or not telling me, teaching me how easy it is to find information if I don't know what is going on. And I allowed it in a way because he's waking up his brain cells, right, in a good way, instead of me saying, well, give me that phone, let me do it. For example, the ego, right? So Junior literally taught me that, I'm going to say like 2 hours ago, where I'm like, it's okay for him to teach me as well, because I'm
the main thing that we are, I believe, to do with each other, whether adults or children or our children or someone else's, to allow them imagination and creative thinking.
Yes.
Number one, and when we stifle that, then the flow is stopped, and we then start blocking their abilities and gifts that they came into this world with. Because when they come into this world as babies, they completely start modeling all of our fears, all of our history,
Yes.
all of our shame, guilt, concerns, worries, negative feelings, anxieties. Children at the time of birth, whether they can speak or not, they pick up on all those energies, and they go into that child. So they're already up against a lot of forces that are of that spiritual warfare, in my mind, because they're coming into that. But they came in with the highest abilities and powers and knowledge. So
yeah, totally.
they will express that and tell us that, and from the mouth of babes. And that's also why a lot of the spiritual leaders of time and ancient knowledge and history work with the children. Because if you can get to the children, then you can free and release a lot of the ancestral ignorance, karma, lack of knowledge embedded. But unfortunately, especially now, they come in more subjected to a world of ISIS, fear, panic, school shootings, drugs. So there's a lot that these kids are being exposed to, even if you aren't watching this on your television, tuning into it, but you have a resonation of fear within yourself.
Yeah, it starts.
As a parent, you are passing that along to him, because you are holding on to physical control, and you're not giving that to his higher power, your higher power, your collective higher power, with complete clarity in your intention for safety, for knowledge, protection, ascension,
Yeah.
So I know my heart goes out to parents. I can't even imagine what that must be like. because at the same time you have to teach him the laws of obedience, the laws of thinking, the laws of doing, taking action, not procrastinating. I mean, respecting you as well, so that he grows up to be his highest potential.
Yeah, that's that it's been he's a huge teacher, where the people pleaser comes in my, for example, that I've been working on, and I'm work in progress myself, of not just being a people pleaser, but then helping from good harmony energy, right?
Like your mother.
Right, exactly. So with him, yes,
Like
true.
your mother.
Like, yes.
Okay.
And with him, I'm like, okay, let's put it this way. Of course, you don't want to go through the hassle, because this is me talking of the tantrums, whatever. I want to do it. I want it my way, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, fine, do whatever you want to do. So there I am, right? Pleasing. And then what I've learned lately, as you were explaining right now, he's just a teacher, honestly. He brings me to the moment. And I now give him choices, for example, where still responsibility and respect, and I still let him know, hey, remember, why will you stress yourself and start thinking of that you don't desire, when you can stop and think of that you desire? So right now you're like being so upset because I said no to this in a way, but eventually you'll get it. It's not like you're never going to get it. So you're wasting 10 minutes crying and throwing pillows, what do you want to do, when you could have been saying, oh, that's right, Mom, I can just wait 10 minutes and then have a blast for 3 hours. And he's looking at me like, what the heck is wrong with you? You know, like, and he's like, fine. Go do what I gotta do, and then I'll come back and then I guess the psychology versus using the laws of more positive parenting versus the way I was brought up, you know, and also understanding the child within us with him, because it's
Well, it
never
sounds like
gone.
you
We're
just
always
came up
exploring.
with the title of your book, The Laws of Parenting and Channeling the Inner Child Within. So there you go. The spiritual laws of channeling and of parenting and channeling the inner child within. There you go.
That's true.
Take
How
notes.
awesome is that?
And
Where's my pen? Where is it when
got,
I need it,
I've
right?
got to check on someone. I have someone here, and they're in session with this biotech medical device that's been the biggest blessing in my life. So I need to go check in on the room and see if they're okay. So I'm just going to mute out and step away for 1 second, but I can hear you. If you guys, Jason, I know you have something to contribute, but I'm going to turn the volume up and hear you, okay?
I'm all ears.
Okay. So,
I'm all ears, Jason.
I'll be right back.
All right, cool. Now let me write down the idea of what was the name of the book? That was amazing. Spiritual parenting, she said, right? Let me see. Hold on.
The laws of parenting or something.
The
and channeling something.
Cool. I didn't think of that. Parenting. Yeah, he's teaching me so much that I'm like, what? That's right. Well, because this is because a lot of success, right? For example, I mean that when we think of success, we think I think right away it's financial, right? Or career or business. And not necessarily just that, it's also within our relationships, within, I guess, goals that we have internal, even parents. And I always think, right, to all those authors that we, even with this book, I just can't remember when it comes out, but then it all comes from generations past and from childhood, because that's what we learn from our parents. So then I start thinking, because like I said, I do reverse engineer everything. So I'm thinking, well, I want the best for my son, or desire the best for him. But then I know I will be probably his best teacher with the loss, but then he's surrounded by those that are not. So how can I make it easy on him and make him feel comfortable even if he's criticized, right? And if I want to stop the generation of going through the same, what I call zombie lifestyle versus the knowledge and harmony, how can I show that to him where it's still fun, for
Yeah.
example? And
Yeah.
it's just coming by itself. I do pray to God, you give me the best of your instrument and knowledge so I could be that instrument to him and guide him
Mhm.
without judgment, for example.
Mhm.
So, I mean, today he was just funny. He's like, Joe Supino, whatever that name of the restaurant. I'm like, we don't watch wrestling. What do you mean? And I'm like, Dave McCarthy. I'll build up. Are you serious? I should post that on Facebook, though. That would be something good. Probably that's what Dave McCarthy is looking for, physically speaking. Not sure. But I'm all ears. Let me stop talking.
Belinda mentioned about how, well, Jesus said, let the little children come to me and do not hinder them. I don't have children yet. Personally, I'm not married. And it is a desire. I believe I believe it's God's desire that we pass along our faith, our own belief to our children. And we teach them God's ways and his laws, and try to help them as they build their own belief, build their own personal belief and personal relationship with God, because that's really what they have to stand on when they go out into the world among those who do believe and those who don't. As you mentioned about the criticism that you can face, last week Cindy was talking about how sometimes you do the right thing and you're in obedience to the law and in obedience to what the Holy Spirit is teaching you and telling you to do. But it is not always popular because it shines a light into the dark places, places where it just brings to light the deficiencies that exist, in each one of us. They're in everyone. But in my church, they say that the Holy Spirit is, I've heard him described as kind of like the hound dog of heaven.
I like that.
He is one of the three. Is part of the Trinity. He is one of the three expressions of God. His role is kind of like our conscience. He's the one that kind of pricks our conscience and says, "Hey, you could do. This is love. This is not love." And that kind of thing. And I experience that often. So.
You remind me of, I don't remember who posted on Facebook, when you are in that, I guess, moment or energy of like, if you should do it or you shouldn't do it, for example, not should, then you are, okay, you don't know what route to take, whatever. So the reminder was always do it. For example, what feels good inside, that's what you should do instead of questioning.
The thing about what feels good, I'll just say that if we know the law, we know God's word, and we follow it,
when applying the golden rule,
Yeah. Um,
everybody,
that's
we're
the
talking a
takeaway.
lot about teaching children. We got to remember, y'all, children came directly from source. They're here to teach us.
Yes.
Okay, let's remember that. This is important because before they are violated by us and the world, they came as pure as God.
They did.
And we must
Totally.
remember that. And that's why when we speak to children at a very young age, they know right from wrong. They know, they inherently know what feels good. They inherently know. They don't start getting, like, even playing together. It's just when you get them something and we start teaching them, this is yours, mine. Now we give them this concept of mine and yours versus sharing, collaborative community, everybody's enjoyment. And so I just wanted to interject that because these violations occur so early in that child, but they came purer than we are. Because we came that way
Oh,
too, but we've got years and years and years now of negative um, absorption from
true.
DNA history, from the parent, from the fear, from we've absorbed everything to media, to society, to everything. So for us, it can be difficult. For the child, it's with ease. We just have to always honor that if we ask that child, how do they feel early on, they always will give you the right answer. They're very giving, they're hugging, they're see them in daycare. They're little playful, joyful beings. That's all they know is inclusiveness. They don't know black and white. They don't know color. They don't know how much money is in your parents' bank account.
No, they just know they can have it and you can make it happen.
And it's only when worldly things start defining limitation. And then that's like
Yeah.
whether or not you're wearing a designer label, as they grow up and they've been friends since the crib, now they realize you came from one side of the tracks and their friend from another. Now there's this disparity, there's this separation, there's this comparison, and ego is being formed in all of that. So, whew, and so Jason, what you're talking about is, okay, now what do we do? Because we do have these children and now we've kind of, they've been subjected to, and we got to go back and teach them. And that is the case in so many cases. I spoke with someone today who called me to let me know that their nephew at 27 years old committed suicide this weekend. So there's a lot of people, a lot of youth are very lost right now. They don't see hope in the world. They have bought into all the lies and all the fear from the moment they were born.
That's
That is sad. And we have a higher calling, higher purpose than that. But they're to bring us awareness of how we have a lot of work to do to reach out and help wake people up from this darkness that doesn't even really exist except for in their own mind.
Yeah, it all starts in our mind. That's so true. And that's one of the things that I've been transitioning from a lifestyle to a new lifestyle that I've literally run away, came back to. What you resist persists. To love my resistance in full effect for myself. So for example, and I'm bringing my son a lot because he's the one who I can say the five people I hang around with, he will be my greatest one and pure to be around, for example. So he knows that I don't watch TV other than my networks that I pay for like example Gaia TV, which teaches you about meditation and all that, or Food Matters. And the only, I guess, mainstream that I will watch that I love and it's almost finished, it will be over the new season, Games of Thrones. That's about it. So coming over here, as you said, TV is always on 24/7. And
Are
it's
you
always in the
living with
news.
someone who has the TV on 24/7?
Oh yeah, my dad.
Okay.
I live with my parents. My dad, since I have conscience, has always been that way. And no wonder back then I couldn't stand being by myself. I had to had something on because I got used to that. So I remember I always had TV on, even if I was not paying attention, just because I got used to having a lot of movement in my house, in my home. So coming
Right.
back, I got used to having my own me time, no TV on, and podcasts or books, whatever. And then I get criticized because I'm not teaching my son what's happening in the world.
Right.
He's seeing the world so in a bubble and yada, 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 yada. So then instead of arguing, I listen. I don't judge. And then it's funny because they are looking for me to argue. And I said, listen, I'm not going to participate in the argument. You have a perspective and a point of view, and I respect that. And probably you're right. But in my point and in my perspective and the way I see things now, this is the best thing I can do for my son. And I appreciate, I'm so grateful that you're giving love to him. I just don't accept this new or this old lifestyle. And I don't agree of focusing or awakening him fear, because in his world, everything is amazing. And I understand we have to go through moments of I guess learning, right? That's how we apply the laws. But not necessarily am I going to come from the worst of the negative of the news because you decide to listen to the mainstream media.
So it's a teaching opportunity,
Yes.
is what it is. And I just posted something in the group. I don't know if you guys saw that or not.
I think I did.
Yeah, and I was kind of looking for the inspiration sentence that I got that from. But does anybody have that up? What I just posted about it being an opportunity to call forth. Hold on, I'm going to pull it up real quick. But that spoke to me. But hold on, my phone is ringing, and I must take this call real quick. You guys might. Well, let me just let them know I'm calling them right back. Hey, David, may I call you right back? I'm finishing up a live Zoom on the spiritual laws that we're wrapping up our season. And you're live on the air right now because I took your call. You're that important. So you'll be captured in our final session recording. Yeah, he says his best to everybody here.
Yay, same here.
All right, very good. I'll call you back. We'll be finishing up in about 15, 20 minutes. Awesome. Perfect. All right, great. Thank you. Bye-bye. That's exciting. I'm working on some health initiatives that are pretty large.
That's awesome.
And so it's has to do with chronic disease people in the deep south of Mississippi, and a statewide health initiative that hopefully, not hopefully, but have called forth to have happen. And that was my connector with good news, he said. So I'm excited about that.
I'm excited for you. Sounds great.
I know. I'm really in the flow these days. If you guys can pick up on that, I've had a real nice shift.
Yeah. You sound very, very, very peaceful and calm.
Never been happier, never been more peaceful, never seen things come to me so much easier when I release and let go. It's just been a real joy. But working with the law, I posted this, that in all circumstances, despite how dark they might be, you are greater than those things or conditions. And so I'm reading you this because this is what we want to teach our children when exposed to news, propaganda, and fear.
Yes.
Okay, you are greater than those things or your conditions or your conditioning. So first of all, we want him to understand that that's what this is and nothing more.
That's a great
And
one.
if not in actuality, in other words, if you don't feel that way right now, you are in potentiality, because God is always working. Obstacles serve as an opportunity to learn, to call up your latent powers, which is the God who is in you.
True.
So that's your lesson for your son, and that way you're not resisting the Father. And as you see what I'm saying, so that would be kind of a beautiful thing to pass along to teach your son.
I just love that. That was an aha moment right there, honestly, because I have told him that in one way or the other, but not necessarily in that, I guess, moment.
I think
Challenge.
children do need to understand their God powers, but they also need to understand with that the responsibility of the rightful use of those powers, much like divine source would use them, always for the higher good, the best interest of everybody, always,
Yep.
always.
Harmony. Yep.
And when you teach them that, they'll not make the choices that we're fearful they're going to make. And then, of course, that starts back into our programming. So I love what we're doing here. I love that we are understanding that there's somewhere this was written about a man who was successful financially. And that very thing, that even when you are, it says, we do not define it in terms of money, position, fame, or wealth, although it may include all these. So the law of success, true, genuine success of the largest kind lies in the results obtained, harvest reaped, and distributed so that our fellow beings, and this is the key, so that our fellow beings at large are benefited and the world enriched. So our fellow beings and the world enriched.
Yeah, it's what you're going to give, not only receive. That's
Well, everything that you do in your business, if it's just for yourself, for your personal attainment goals, title, income, cycles, work, whatever you're doing, it must be for the betterment of all.
Yeah.
For the enrichment of every single person, because that's the true definition of wealth. And when you set that intention and that mindset and that heart in that space, the money's going to come. But if you're not, then you're out of alignment. And so you're ignorant of some laws, and you're ignorant that you're out of alignment, because the abundance would be there. And so the ignorance is not, it's just meaning awareness. Well, it would be here if I was practicing the laws, would it not?
Mm-hmm.
There's no doubt they work 100% of the time, for 100% of the people, for 100% of your clearest stated intention, and 100% when it is for all fellow beings and the highest good of all. It's 100%. And so that is the lesson I keep telling myself every day. Every day. If I just lead from that, I don't worry about anything else.
That's true. That's that was a reminder to listening to Dave MacArthur, where he says, exactly what you just said when you're working on your vision boards, right? Where everyone was showing him their vision boards, either on the phone or 3x5 cards, for example, and all he saw was the end product, right? For example, the houses, the cars, and yada yada yada, which is not, he's not saying it's not bad then, but in order for you to receive that, what are you giving? So he brought in the law of compensation, for example. When you are giving value to someone, with, for example, the vehicle that you chose, in this case, our products and amazing company that we said yes to, how are we going to give value to those that we offer, what we bring, in order for that to be our vehicle to fulfill our dreams? So if you're only thinking of, receiving all those amazing things materially speaking, but then you don't know what value you're giving, or if you are doing a business and you have a team or you desire a team, well, how are you helping them be fulfilled in their own harmonious right to also be happy, harmonious, not only help you, but then help others and themselves. So that it's a great reminder and compensation value that you're talking about, Belinda, when it comes to the law of success, because we tend to only, once again, we go back to being brainwashed by the program of TV, right, of luxury, and then we tend to, I guess, leave the spiritual on the side because we think right away it's religious, and you start judging, and it's all together when you're giving harmony.
Well, we focus on lack.
Right.
As much as we try not to. That's the problem. So the book said it's like a horse. You set an intention, you're going to do a jump, and if you've ever ridden a horse, and I had 5 for 10 years, when you give a horse's head, you hold on. So that's why you're always pulling back on the horse, checking the horse, got the bit on the horse, got all that control because you're controlling your power. But as a jumper on a horse that you're going to jump with, as you see at these high competitive levels, there's a trust point of faith. And at that moment where you are gut checking, wanting to pull back out of fear, that's the moment you give the horse's head. Well, the law of all of the laws of what we're doing here is really about faith and holding that intention of faith and expecting it no matter what else shows up. Yeah. No matter what happens. You don't check the horse. You don't pull it back. You give it its head. And at the very moment where you want to check it the most, where the fear is the greatest, the unknown is the greatest, is where people check and pull back. And that is where we create more lack. Because we just stopped the flow coming to us. So it's really beautiful to be reminded of that. So you all know the saga of my condo that I've been trying to sell for, ever. And I've just let it go. Completely let it go. I don't even think about it. It's sold. And then I had 2 offers come in on the same day. And negotiated one to a verbal acceptance. I was supposed to receive it in writing from the realtors within 24 hours, 48 hours. Never came. Has not fazed me. I did contact them and reminded them that a verbal in business law was as good as in writing, but that I released all that, and that I went back into complete faith and sent energy to that potential buyer who wants that property, because they checked right before the jump, but they want it. And so I sent them some prayers in that area, and I fully expect that offer to come in writing. I don't know when. It doesn't matter. It's sold. It's already sold. I've already celebrated it. I've already released it. And it's not even a doubt in my mind. There's no doubt. And so I'm just holding on to, because this is good. He wanted it. I choose to release it. He walked away from the offer after much negotiation a week ago, and then I walked. I came down, then I walked, and then he went away. Then he showed back up and said, "I want it. I take it. I take my final counter." And they said he wants it. Now he's walked again. See what he's doing? He's checking every time. He's all right, I'm going to jump this time. But, oh, man, I'm going to wait. Now, a good real estate agent would know the laws and help that man do what he really wants to do. But you won't find people like that in the business world too often, because what do? They check too. Now everybody's out trying to find something else, and they're just going to perpetuate this limbo cycle of lack of faith and not following their gut or following their heart. And I guarantee you they do this in everything in their life.
Yeah.
And so through my faith, I'm not fazed at all. I mean, I'm good. There's no wrong in my world. Everything's teed up in my favor. And I'm really learning to live that. I'm human. I still will stop and I'll go off sometimes and start thinking about something that then I go, oh, that didn't feel good at all. Like I catch myself now so fast, where I just spin it right around, and I'm grateful for what showed up. Cindy Murphy bought some book. I forget the exact name, but it was something about whatever shows up, love that, or some book she was reading. And I'm like, I just love that, because that's exactly the opportunity for us to practice these laws we're learning.
Yeah, to apply and let go and have faith.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, you're walking in faith, and literally I can be a testimony of that as we speak in the moment, and letting go, because I totally understand where you're coming from. In the example that you're talking about, your condo, in this case for myself, I was tremendously fearful of being without income, single mother, living with her parents, and wondering how I was gonna still give the same lifestyle to my son, even though I have a vehicle, but that vehicle is still in the process of providing. And I was very stressed, very fearful, and of course, my mother comes and she's like, "Why are you worried? You have our back, you have our support." So the ego, like, how can I make you support me and my son, because it was my decision to get out or do whatever, and never until I let it go. And I know that God will provide, and it's providing one way or the other. And the now what I'm learning, my husband, for example, he wants us back, but he's still not changing, ego wise speaking, but he's feeling the loneliness. He's feeling, that he was not, how can I say, appreciating, versus before complaining, you're not doing this. And myself as well. I was more focused on what I disliked and what I didn't like, versus why I'm grateful for what I have or what he has done. But then internally, I'm still happy the decision that I made. And what's coming to me now, it's that I'm feeling sorry, which is not a good sign, to feel sorry for someone and then please because they feel lonely, versus loving myself, right? And allowing people in my life from that energy of, like, if I love myself, then that means they're going to love me because they love themselves, and they're going to respect me because they respect themselves in harmony, versus being sorry. So right now it's a huge faith moment for me, because it's so easy to go into the old paradigm in the comfort zone and just say, I dropped the towel and I'm back. Another thing too, that I honestly do not like to ask for anything or confront anything. And for example, with my husband, it's all about the money. He's still in the material world because he does not understand the laws and does not want to be part of them or know about them. So out of that, because I knew I deserved so much financially speaking, for example, because of many years, blah, 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 blah. I told everyone who was giving me advice from their love, and that's very appreciated. I said, stop. If it's not for me, it's not for me. If I got to start from scratch, I will do it. I did it once. And if I gave what I gave back then of money or my own energy as a stay-at-home mother, then I did. And if he is deserving of everything that he has done through his own sacrifice as a soldier, as a military man, and he worked on our house here, he can keep it. Ultimately, I didn't ever want to live in that house anyways. So I want you all to please, I desire for you all to stop telling me that I should get this because I deserve this.
Well, I
peace, our
love what I'm
sincerity.
hearing because you're establishing some very sacred boundaries.
Yes.
And that's
Yes.
important because when we're in trouble spiritually, and that includes our marriages and our relationships, then, imagine you're on an airplane and the mask comes down and we're in trouble. You got to put it on yourself first. And
Right.
you've got to get back into alignment, and that's what you're doing. So good for you.
Yeah.
You're doing the right thing.
Yeah. At first, it wasn't that way, though. If you would have asked me 2 months ago, I was in fearful mode.
Well, somewhere in your heart, and we all know you have, the thing about faith is until you create the movie and you're watching it and you're in it, and the movie is a movie. If you were to write your perfect play, your perfect script, your perfect life, and then you put all that together, and now you're sitting in the movie and you're watching it, and it just makes you so happy because it's like, oh my God, this is like a fairy script, too good to be true. Well, that's how you create. You have to do that. You must. It doesn't work the opposite.
Yeah.
We all know that's called post-manifestational awareness. In other words, it's a little bit too late. You got it backwards.
Hello.
You created it and you don't like it, and now you're going to fuss at it and like, oh, well, no, create it the way it should have been. If you can create bad, you can create good.
Yeah, totally.
Create disease, you can create cures to disease.
And I'm so happy you're saying that. I was going to say that I was thinking of that today because I'm like, oh shit, I forgot the good detail how I wanted it. I laugh at it now.
And I honestly have improvement to do in that area myself. I have snippets of it and I just see it and I already know it. But have I put that whole movie together? It's like, no, I probably haven't. Not probably. No. I'll just say I haven't, because right now I'm just going with flow, and my intention is of another nature. So my intention right now every day is to say, use me, flow through me, and bring people to me.
Yeah, sure.
Or put people's names in my heart. And that's what I've been doing. And I've also been taking more time, where this morning I had in my mind a million things to do. I have some big projects I'm working on. And instead, where I used to label it as procrastination,
yeah,
kind of labeled as that person, I am not that person. It is in the flow. So I enjoyed the peace of my coffee on my patio with a cool breeze. I enjoyed taking my shoes off and earthing and looking up and feeling the warm sun on my face. I enjoyed looking at my patio and recognizing it was covered in dust and cobwebs and cleaning it out and improving the energy in that space. And so I went into flow all day, all morning, into most of the day. Until then, I was in moments of the middle of something, somebody's name will come to my heart. Like I was dusting and sweeping, and I was really enjoying it. I'm like, well, this is, first of all, new.
right.
But I was just so enjoying my morning. The windows were open. I had some beautiful chakra balancing music on. I had my essential oil diffusers going, and I was just loving everything this morning. And somebody came into my heart, and at that moment, in the middle of everything I was doing, I called that person and they answered the phone. And this is an important person. And so that then launched something very potentially amazing that could save, change, affect a lot of lives. And then that launched that call that just came in. And it all started by saying, use me, bring to me, my heart and my intentions is always for everybody's highest good.
True.
My highest good. It has to help people. It has to heal people, and it has to bless people. And then from there, I just kind of let the creator come to me. And then I start looking, because at that moment, it's given at that moment, it's given. So we have to look now. Everything, every possibility whether we deem it good or bad, that shows up was part of that request every time.
True.
Every
That is
time.
true.
We don't have to understand it, and that's where that how comes in. We don't need to know how, but all we do need to know is that it's here and it's around you, and there's probably 1,000 clues of it every day that we don't see.
That's true.
There's validation always, because the laws are exact. And I'm really just enjoying that. I think, I think about some of the people flowing that way. I know Chris Drabenstott's flowing that way.
Yep.
Casey's flowing that way. When people are in the flow, you recognize it.
Yep.
You desire
You can feel it.
because you see it, you recognize it because it's also in you. The same, and that's why we're just here as brothers and sisters to have these conversations, just to remind everybody when each one of us temporarily gets out of alignment of source and light, it's up to each other to just remember to just remind each other, just step back into the flow. You just stepped out a little bit. The light never went off. You just moved out of it. The
It's
light's
always there.
still on. So go back into what you know. It feels good if it meets the criteria, the golden rule, highest, best possible service to all of humanity. It meets with the laws, and it feels right. You'll know it feels right, and
It feels great. Actually.
Yeah, we do it the opposite. It should be your gut check first. I had a gut feeling, right?
Instead
Always gut check. And then the heart space, the heart space, very powerful. But then, so it's gut check, heart check. Last should be mind check. But what do? Mind first, override the heart, override the gut.
Mm-hmm.
We go by logic mind.
Always.
And in my mind, the heart and the gut are where the spirit resides.
Yeah.
That's your innate. That's innate. That's not studied and learned. The mind is manipulated, studied and learned and lied to. But the heart and the gut, I believe, are very powerful. I've not known a time my gut feeling was wrong.
Nope, never.
Honestly, even if it wasn't as bad as I thought, if I thought my gut feeling like, I don't get good vibes, I was still right. Now, once I understood it, I understood what I was picking up, what vibration I was picking up on. But it doesn't define the person. It just means you're picking up that low vibration of fear, worry, guilt, shame, doubt, blah, 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 right? So your gut's still right. You're just reading the energy of all that, of whatever it is. So you have to learn to discern that from the person, and then that is where you become obedient to spirit, and that's where you show love and compassion, all those things to that person. And not sometimes, but a lot of times it's the offender to us. So now it becomes a real challenge.
I totally, yes.
But that's ego talking.
Yep.
When we feel offended, that's just ego. Because Christ never felt offended. God never feels offended. He has no need to defend anything. I am that I am.
Right. I am that. I am.
I am that.
Yeah, I love using
that
exercise. I am that. I am. Oh,
I love that apostrophe, don't you?
Yes, me too. Like I am.
I am that.
Oh. Yep. There was a book, I don't remember, that was talking about that. This person was saying, you're saying I am that homeless, in a way. Like, how can you say I'm that? But then it's the reflection of yourself, not necessarily of what they're doing in the moment. But
that's right. Always our teacher. Yep. Well, Mr. Jason, you've been very quiet tonight. It's 8:03, time to wrap up the call, but I just wanted to thank you and see what parting words you have for us.
I've really enjoy listening to these stories, and that you two have been sharing. The success of our relationships, I believe, is what one of the two things that God is most concerned about. One is that we that we know Him, number one, and number two, that we know Him and love Him, and then number two, that we love each other. So,
love is always the answer, isn't it?
yes,
Yep.
I think all the law, Jesus said that He came to summarize. He is the law.
Yep.
He is the physical manifestation of the law.
Yes, He is.
His whole life is the example.
Truly someone to definitely follow and be a disciple of.
But so I see all of this. This whole book is really, and this is not, there's only 12 laws that are outlined here, but there's a law for everything.
Yeah.
There's a spiritual law that governs everything. But these 12 really do kind of taken together.
That's right.
I believe taken together, I believe they do go a long way to achieving the success that we desire in our relationships.
And you're right. And it truly is such a Bible of the Bible.
Is a kind of
written in a way that people maybe can receive it in a language that they understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it has given me new questions.
Mm-hmm.
It's inspiration. So when I study and I read this book and I think upon the Word and I say, what does the Word say? And it's just given me a little bit different perspective. So I can appreciate that about any of the books that we've
very good. It does. And we are to come with open hearts, open minds, and let the divine source of all come and speak to us. So that heart check, gut check will always keep you straight. And I'll tell you, we can always do this book time after time, but one that I am really digging right now that I cannot get enough of is Wayne Dyer's Power of Intention.
Oh yeah, I have that book.
That book we must do. In fact,
I'm with you on that one.
My
brother got it in Spanish because he receives information better in Spanish. I'm like, why are you gonna buy it? I got it. He's like, nope, I want it in Spanish.
That book, and I'm going to recommend that people get it on Audible, even if they don't buy the written copy. I'm a believer in both. I have both, but the Audible is where I have those pockets of time during the day, for me to sit down and read, but I can always have Audible on. And if I've checked out for a moment because I'm double working, multitasking, I back it up and even if it's just subliminal, and I play it and loop it at night, and because I know subliminally the power of receiving that message. So maybe our next book club could be on that. We can still say working with the laws, but now we're going to be studying. Like I don't want to redo another event page or private page because we don't have to. Because it's all the law. It's all God's law, spiritual law, divine that runs through me, runs through you. And Wayne Dyer brings that home so beautifully. I can't get enough of that book. So we'll take some time. Maybe I'll post in the group if you guys would love that and say, guys, we're having this discussion. Would love your thoughts. We got enough people on that page now where people can give some opinions. I do believe that many are familiar with it because Casey's been big in that book. I think Chris Dravenstott's into that book. It's out there. So, well, guys, thank you so much.
Sounds good. Thank
for
you.
tonight. And I'm so grateful for you two because you make the world go round for me.
Thank
Well,
you,
I'm grateful
Belinda.
for both of you, and I always look forward to
All right.
these meetings.
Well, I'm going to convert this and get that posted, and I'll have that recording up. It may be the end of the night, it might be first in the morning, but thank you guys. Feel free to share this recording with as many people as you feel led to, and let's just keep doing the work and applying the laws, and everything is going to be just amazing as we design our life, knowing
Totally.
exactly what we're designing.